Brigida, who is going to be speaking on Colorful to the Core.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello to everybody present in this room. Hello to everybody on Zoom. And a special hello to the people listening to this at some future date. Is it a beautiful morning or what?
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And the title of my presentation is Colorful to the Core, and I want to point to the flowers that you on Zoom cannot see that our beloved Reverend Gail brought, talking about colorful to the core. Have you seen the flowers? Thank you, Gail. I brought something else. It's not very colorful.
Yet.
Those of you on Zoom, you probably can see I'm holding a flower pot in my hand with a tiny, tiny little plant. She's probably 2 inches tall, if that. And I brought her as the symbol of holy boldness and spiritual audacity. Why? You know what this is? This is an oak tree in its first few weeks. Can you imagine what audacity it takes to go from an acorn to a 100-foot tree that's gonna spread thousands and thousands of acorns over its lifetime? The audacity to know, this little thing knows, she's gonna outlive all of us here. That is called boldness. That is called audacity. Now, I talked to her and I said, would you rather be something else? And she said, like what? I said, a redwood. She said, no, I'd like to be an oak. How about a date palm tree? I don't know what that is, but I'd like to be an oak. So here we have a being, a living being, that has no quarrel with its divine design. Can you say that about yourself? You have no quarrel with your divine design? Okay, I'm going to generalize, and if it doesn't fit, that's okay. I have huge quarrel with my divine design. Why? I was born in Switzerland. And in Switzerland, it's illegal to be rambunctious, excited, full of enthusiasm, bold, and audacious. It doesn't fit the Swiss mold. So the moment a baby is born in Switzerland, and I'm inclined to think that could be true for here as well, a programming starts of shutting down that audacious boldness. There is a program that is hell-bent, and I'm using the word intentionally, hell-bent on making us fit in. Not stand out, not be colorful to the core, but fit in. And unfortunately, the system in Switzerland, and I could imagine in other countries as well, is fear-based. So it's a bad idea to be outspoken. It's a bad idea to stand up and be counted. It's a really bad idea to be enthusiastic. It's too loud. Children ought to be seen and not heard. Many years ago, when we were meeting in this room, we had another group meet in the other room. And we were happy and joyous and free and celebrating. And an old woman came up to me in the hallway and she said, I don't want you to be quite that enthusiastic. I said, do you know what the word enthusiastic means? And she went, no. I said, go home and check. Enthusiasm is from the Greek, en, in, full, theos, God. When we're enthusiastic, we are filled with the Spirit of God. Do you know what a pain in the ass that is for people who don't want to be filled with the Spirit of God? As a therapist and as a practitioner of science of mind, I have observed 3 moments in the human lifespan where enthusiasm and boldness and audacity break out volcanically. The first one is at age 2. At age 2, most children discover 2 words: no and mine. You know, this phase is referred to as the terrible twos. Have you heard that expression? The terrible twos. What's so terrible about finally being able to say no? What's so terrible about having the boundaries and knowing what's yours and what isn't? In that moment, the 2-year-old asserts itself. I don't want to fit in. I don't want to say yes. I don't want to share my little bucket and my shovel. It's mine. I want to say no, even if you offer me a cookie, because I can say no now. The family rarely celebrates that. Society certainly doesn't celebrate that, because somebody who can say no and mine is not going to fit into the system that our society is proposing in order to keep us safe. The second time audacity, boldness breaks out loudly is in teenagehood. The teenager looks at the future and goes, oh God, a mortgage. Oh God, a job I might not like. I don't want that. That's called teenage rebellion. Eventually it dies down and off they go on the conveyor belt into society. I want to tell you the story of a boy. Let's call him Albert, because that's his name. Albert did not fit in school. He had trouble paying attention to the lectures. He was constantly looking out the window. He was daydreaming. He was doodling. And he was obviously painfully bored with school. The teachers were very frustrated. So finally, when he was 12 years old, they called in his mother. And they sat her down for a serious talk. I tell you, the final sentence in that serious talk was this: Mrs. Einstein, your son will never amount to anything. The rest is history. Some of us who do not fit in, some of us who look out the window rather than to the blackboard, some of us who have a reluctance to be conditioned, go far. So how come my little oak tree knows nothing of that? I asked the forest. You know that George and I live in a forest. And I walked out into the forest to find one of those little ones to come here this morning. And I looked at the ancient oaks, those giant oaks. They shaded the saplings, the little seedlings. And I listened very carefully. And not one adult oak said, "Who the hell do you think you are?" That's why this oak is growing into its full size, into its full potential, without quarrel with the original design. How many of you, show of hands, has been asked, who the hell do you think you are? One form or another. That's a hellish question. Who the hell do you think you are? Who are you to be that colorful, that funny, that loud, that amusing, that attractive, that intelligent, that beloved? Who are you? So I think I have demonstrated that this natural boldness, this natural audacity gets definitely squashed in most of us. So how can we get it back? We're talking about years of training. We're talking about huge cultural impact. I have come up with 4 levels of spiritual evolution. As we grow in spirituality, as we wake up to who we really are, I have noticed 4 levels. And the first level is the child of God. Who can relate? Who has ever felt like a child of God? Yeah, child of God. Yes? Most of us. Let me tell you, a Jewish rebel rabbi by the name of Yeshua ben Joseph, known in our culture as Jesus, said, "You are the children of the Most High." There you have it. There's a Most High somewhere, and we're the children. And I want to give you the physical position of the child of God. The child of God is on its knees, pleading to a far-off God, that father or mother in heaven. The child of God is on its knees saying, "Please, please don't let my pussycat die. I'll do anything, I'll be good." That's the voice of the child of God. Not a lot of power, a lot of distance to the actual God on high. The second level of spiritual evolution is the student of God, where God is the teacher. And the student of God is not on his knees or her knees, sitting at a desk, slamming the desk and say, "I want to know. Explain this to me. Teach me. Are there laws in the universe that are reliable? How is this? What about death? So if my cat dies, where does she go?" And you can tell the voice is much stronger than the pleading voice of the child. You can also tell that the teacher God is coming closer. They're not touching, by all means, but the teacher and the student have a closer relationship. Who has ever felt like a student of God, a young adult who wants to know? If you're in Science of Mind, you have that part, who wants to know. You hear people say it's all a mystery, it's unknowable. Really? What if it's knowable? What if there is a higher power, a God, whatever you call it, who wants to be known, rather than shrouding itself in mystery and you the poor bugger because you can't figure it out? The third level of spiritual evolution is the beloved of God. You see that in religious movements where you have the bride of Christ. There is often talk of a marriage of spirit. That's when God and the beloved come together. It's a very beautiful thing, because when you are aware that you are the beloved of God, everything becomes a gift from the beloved. Every flower, every bird song, every star in the night sky is an individualized gift from the beloved. You're held, you're cherished, you're protected. However, it's very dualistic. If there is a gift, there is a giver, and there is a receiver, and the receiver and the giver are not one. So I want you to just take a moment and feel, it's great to be the beloved of God. I'm the beloved of God. God said, you go, give a great speech, be audacious, it's good. I love to be the beloved of God. I love to perceive everything as a gift given to me personally. But if a gift is given, it can be taken away. So I want you to see that the beloved and God are heart to heart, cheek to cheek. There is an embrace, but there is still a distance. Which brings me to the fourth level of spiritual evolution. This is the daredevil stuff, or the dare angel stuff. The rebel rabbi said, you are all gods. And he said that just before pointing out that we're all the children of the Most High. And I thought, that's so interesting. He says, you're all gods. And then he quickly said, you children, you little lambs, I'm the shepherd. Don't worry, if you get lost, I'll find you. Why? Why can't he just say, hey, you, everyone here, you're God? He couldn't say that because they would have crucified him even sooner. So he dials it back a bit. He has to make it palatable. Okay, you're all gods and you're not nodding, you're not smiling, you're not liking this idea. Tell you what, you're the children of the Most High. Is that better? Good. I'm so glad. Whew, that was close. You want to know what Ernest Holmes says? Ernest Holmes, for those of you who don't know, is the founder of Science of Mind, this teaching institution that we're a part of. He is the author of a book by the same name, The Science of Mind. And on page 388, paragraph 3, thank you, George, for researching that for me, he says, man, and that includes women, man, the real man, is birthless, deathless, changeless. I'm going to repeat that. The real man, capital R, the reality of who we really, really are. We are birthless, deathless, and changeless. Take a moment and allow yourself to feel that. What if that's true? What have we always been? You know, there is this clear statement, God is all there is. Well, if that's true, if God is all there is, no exceptions, guess who we are? And I'm going to dial it down just a little bit so we're not going to freak out here. We are expressions of God. Beautiful, powerful, audacious, bold, enthusiastic expressions of God. And if that's not your experience right now, guess what? You're wearing the straitjacket of the culture that is keeping us in fear and makes God on high, far away, and if we're really unlucky, not very nice. Ernest Holmes continues, God as man, in man, is man. I'm going to repeat that. God as man, or as woman, in man, in woman, is man and woman. We can't have it any other way. It's a logical conclusion. And here's what he says, and I love it. The highest God, up there, the highest God, and the innermost God, the one within us, is one and the same God. He closes the gap. I invite you to feel for a moment the possibility that you are God, with all the attributes of God, all the power, all the love, all the beauty, all the passion, all the creativity, all the light. Not of God, but as God. Later on, George is going to do a sing-along with everybody who feels like participating, and it's a Sufi chant called I'm Opening Up in Sweet Surrender, and the original text is to the luminous love light of the One. So here we are down here, and we're opening up to the luminous love light of the One who's up there somewhere. We retexted it with one word. We're opening up in sweet surrender as the luminous love light of the One. Feel that. This is Science of Mind in a nutshell. Yeah, it's a coconut shell, but still. I would like to end with a poem. It was written by a woman called Rebecca Del Rio. And wherever you are, Rebecca Del Rio, I salute you and I give great thanks. She titled her poem Prescription for the Disillusioned. Doesn't sound very positive. I would probably call it, would you like to be an acorn? Would you like to have no quarrel with your destiny? Would you like to find the boldness that is your nature? You don't have to go borrow it, you don't have to go buy it. It is our nature to be bold and audacious and spiritually alive and passionate and loving and caring and inclusive. That's our nature. And when we're not there, not that that's wrong, when we're not there, it simply means we have put on the straitjacket of conditioning. And the beauty of my little future 100-foot tall oak tree, she knows nothing of this. There is no conditioning in the forest. Every acorn has a chance to become a giant tree. And no old oak will belittle a little seedling. I love that. So I'm going to read you the poem by Rebecca Del Rio. Come new to this day. Remove the rigid overcoat of experience, the notion of knowing, the beliefs that cloud your vision. Leave behind the stories of your life. Spit out the sour taste of unmet expectations. Let the stale scent of what ifs waft back into the swamp of your useless fears. Arrive curious, without the armor of certainty, the plans and the planned results of the life you have imagined. Live the life that chooses you. New with every breath, every blink of your astonished eyes. I thank you for listening, and I love you all.